up, we are excited to welcome to the stage a pitch from SuperSenses. SuperSenses is an at-home sensory measurement platform that helps people track changes in smell, taste, hearing, vision, and touch over time, making the invisible middle of sensory decline visible, measurable, and actionable. Joining us on stage is Datar Sahi. He is a founder and health technology entrepreneur focused on brain health, longevity, and prevention. Welcome, Datar.
Thank you, Shannon and Brian. Can everybody hear me in the back? Warming my voice up. And it is hot in here, isn't it? Is it hot back there or just up here? Everywhere. Okay, great. Forgive me if I'm not as animated as some of the previous speakers. My name is Datar. I'm the founder of SuperSenses. Thank you for having me. I have a long history in Oregon. Why not? Let's make it interesting. I repeated the first grade in Oregon. I was in Child Protective Services in Oregon. Didn't see that coming. What else? I went to Newport High School. I worked in a fish plant. I worked in a sawmill in Eugene where I went to college. Found my way into digital advertising where I had a pretty good career, but just didn't feel like I was serving my life's purpose. So somehow meandered to where I am now, which is a little bit of a morbid topic, but I'm here to bring some hope. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off by just asking a show of hands if you've had somebody in your family that has been impacted by dementia. I don't know if you're looking around, but that's a lot of hands. Okay, raise your hand if you haven't had somebody impacted. It's like 5, 6, 7 hands. Okay, so this is a big deal. The number is gonna double in 20 years. 1 in 5 of us will actually have it. We're living longer is the problem, and our brain span isn't matching our lifespan. A lot of well, I'm gonna get off track here. I only have a few minutes. I'm gonna try and pack it all in. So, but what if dementia wasn't something that surprised us? What if we could see it coming? I'm gonna start off with something very simple, and this is pretty much the entire company in a nutshell. I got to click next, don't I? Here we go. So your brain's primary job is not thinking, it's not remembering, it's actually processing sensory information. When you have a hearing problem, it's not an ear problem, that's a brain problem. When you have a smell impairment, we all went through COVID and we had pretty strong smell. Sometimes we lost it completely or went down. But what we haven't been tracking is, does it come all the way back up? And so those are called moderate impairments. And each part of your brain is connected to, every sense is connected to a different part of your brain. I'm going to spend a lot of time on smell today. That's where a lot of the emerging research is because of COVID, actually. What's interesting and fascinating about your brain, about smell in particular, is that your olfactory system is connected to the limbic center of your brain, which is your memory center of your brain. So when you're smelling things, you're stimulating the part of your brain that stores memories, but it also regulates mood. So it's all of our senses are a big deal, but those are just a few highlights. The research has shown, and this is research that, third-party, peer-reviewed, large study research, that changes in your 5 senses are the very first indication of brain changes, of mild cognitive impairment, of dementia, of Parkinson's, of Alzheimer's. And these changes are gradual. We don't notice them most of the time. And this is why smart people, attentive people miss our sensory changes. So I have the absolute pleasure of working with, right now we're up to about 16 PhDs at Johns Hopkins. Well, just in America, it's like Johns Hopkins, Columbia, Harvard, and then in the UK, we're working with Dr. Andrea Tales, a world-renowned dementia researcher, Dr. Mastino, a world-renowned leader in gustation, which is taste, Carl Philpott. So a lot of prestigious universities are working with me, little old me, because they know how important this is. And they're doing mostly the work for free. and they focus on the science, and I focus on the business. And a lot of what we do is awareness. A little bit about my mom, which is how I got into this in the first place. This is not my mom. That's my mom. And she lives in a senior living community in Boulder, Colorado. She had glaucoma, but she only had one eye fixed, and she said, "I can see out of one eye; it's fine." Then she had smell and taste problems that really manifested as the food here is terrible. She oversalted everything, and you know, one day recently, a couple years ago, she forgot my birthday, which is like not that big of a deal, except that I have a twin sister, and we were born on Halloween in Hong Kong. And it came out of nowhere, and I thought she was joking, but I played it off because she's my sweet mom, and she really did forget, and it came out of nowhere. So then we started looking at like, what are all of the factors? What are the things that you could see coming? And it turns out she had three of them, and there wasn't a way to really track it at the time. So I put together what was a fun toy, and now we've got the researchers involved. So um, the big thing is that we had a bunch of warning signals and we just didn't know what they were. And she didn't notice them. And none of us really thought it was anything outside of normal aging. But that was a big mistake. So I talked a little bit about um, the warning system that you get. I'll just talk about smell again. Smell alone. I don't know if you've heard about Michael J. Fox Foundation, but they give away smell cards, and if you are a candidate, they'll send you one, and then you go to the internet, and you type in your results. You don't get a lot out of it, but it fuels their research. The whole goal of the research industry right now, worldwide and globally, is to get ahead of this. It's a big, big, big deal because dementia doesn't just impact you, it's a diagnosis for your whole family. And a lot of you had your hands up and already know that. But these people, they struggle to take care of themselves. They're the prime candidates for getting taken advantage of with scams. And the list goes on and on. I just don't have time to get into all of it. But again, I promise some good news. If we catch sensory changes early, then we can rehabilitate sensory changes, and that'll preserve our brain health. Almost everybody with dementia has, and I say like almost everybody, literally everybody has sensory decline. There's nobody with dementia that doesn't have it, and you'd be hard pressed to find. So you'd be hard pressed to find somebody with high functioning sensory health. And the diagnosis process, it takes 4 or 5 years. Neuropsychologists are in charge of this, um, and they're looking for plaques, which it can be the FDA just approved a blood test, and then there are also brain scans and images, and they're looking for plaques that are folding over that create amyloids that basically interrupt brain signal. All of that's expensive. All of that's hard to get to. So that's really what we're trying to change. I'll get into that a little bit more, but for now, does everybody have a piece of chocolate? We're going to do something I do with large groups. Um, it I think it's interesting. Let's give it a whirl. Take out your piece of chocolate, please, if you want to participate. You don't have to, eat the whole thing, but it's fun, trust me, especially if everybody does it. All right, so go ahead and unwrap the chocolate and don't eat it. With your other hand, make sure it's free and available. I'll give you a second or two. What we're going to do is we're going to pinch our nose and we're going to put the chocolate in our mouth and we're going to hold our nose. So I'm going to ask you to pinch your nose, not yet, and I'm not going to let you take your finger off of your nose. No airflow is going to come in, and that's going to be about 20 seconds. So go ahead and just pinch your nose. Make sure you cannot breathe out of your nose, and then when you do that, put the chocolate in your mouth, but do not remove the pinched nose. So you've got a piece of chocolate in your mouth right now, and your nose has no airflow. Go ahead, chew the chocolate. I'm going to keep my nose here out of solidarity. Uh, It's pretty bland, right? Almost nothing. So imagine this was your meal. Imagine this as your coffee. Imagine this was when you walk through your grandmother's garden or your daughter's garden for that matter. All right, that's pretty good. Go ahead and take your nose off. All right, anybody that that was a participant want to say how that was for them? You probably don't need a mic. There's a wow. So when we do that in a room where everybody's doing it, there's gasps. And what we're doing here is we're demonstrating that a large part of taste is smell. So a lot of times when people come to us and they test their smell and their taste, a lot of them will report that they have taste problems. But actually, the taste problems are just the newest iteration of smell problems. We all think we can smell, we all think we can hear, and the problem with measuring our own five senses in our own head is that we don't notice things that are not there. We don't notice the absence of stimulus. Okay, so this is a that was the slide we were supposed to be on the whole time. I'll give you a second. So again, you can rehabilitate your smell. So that's pretty encouraging. All right, so we talked a little bit about the smell and the memory connection, the memory center of the brain. It's your mood, your focus. If you have a moderate smell impairment, I'll just throw this out here. You have a 300% higher chance of clinical mental disorder. You have a 300 higher percent chance of depression. And if you have um, dual impairments, which is moderate, not severe, not total loss, you have a 50% chance of dying within 5 years. That's showing that two different parts of your brain are shutting down. Very important signal. We call it the brain's vital sign. Your heart, if it has irregularities, blood pressure, and so on, you can. We're all very used to kind of keeping track of that, and so now we're just getting into looking at the basic at-home version of taking care of your brain and getting the first signal of any changes. This is another group activity. What we're going to do here is I'm going to hit play. Hopefully it works. You're going to hear a sound. It's probably going to be kind of annoying. If it gets too loud back there, go ahead and turn it down. We just need to be able to hear it. When you go to an audiologist, they're going to test your hearing, and a lot of you have probably raise your hand if you've been to an audiologist in the last year. 5 people, not many people. Okay, so we can hear between 50 hertz roughly all the way up to 20,000 hertz. You don't need to know what a hertz is, but it's a pitch. So, and that's what we're going to listen to now. Usually, the first frequencies that we start to lose are the upper register. But when you go to test your smell, your taste, if you'd be lucky to do that, because a lot of ENTs don't do that. But if you test your eyes and your hearing, all of these tests are really screening you for deficits. They're low-level binary impairments. Nobody's monitoring your full spectrum of sensory health over time. And why is that important? Well, if you go to an audiologist and they check your hearing, they're only going to test up to 10,000, sometimes 8,000, in very rare cases up to 12,000. But I just said you can hear to 20. So they don't pick up any problems at all until you're halfway deaf. That's kind of a big deal, right? All right, so what we're going to do here is these are going to be high quality speakers. They're going to go up to 20,000 hertz. So everybody hold your hand up, please. This is much easier than the chocolate experiment. And when you stop hearing the sound, lower your hand, but look around. You might have dementia, sir. When you stop hearing, that's Mark. I'm used to it. If you stop hearing the sound, put your hand down and look around and see how everybody else does. Oh, wait, that was my computer again. Here we go. I have 54-year-old ears. It's at 13. It goes up to 20. Look at all the hands still up. Look at all these people with great hearing and long-term brain health. Wow. If you were one of the first people to put your hand down, not great. All right, you definitely don't want a second impairment. So we talked a little bit about why your senses matter, but this is where it becomes real. What we offer is an at-home guided kit. It comes in an envelope. You're smelling things, you're tasting things, you're listening to things. It gives you results and then things you can do about it, even if you need to see a doctor, and all the way up to emerging technology. So at home with your doctor, therapies, drug therapies, which are getting better, and then emerging tech. We did a lot of cool stuff at senior living centers and with clinical neurologists where they really value this work. And if you see a functional wellness doctor, it won't be long before this becomes the standard. And if you are, if you love someone or you know someone that's in a senior living center, this is a great way for them to stay ahead of decline. They're getting a 5 to 15 or 20-year warning on brain changes. This is what this, once again, let me just start here. So this is the app, and this is the screen I was supposed to be sharing with you, but that's just a glimpse of somebody with reduced smell. And then it's like a social media feed of just things you can do at home. This is some of the results we had when people come into the senior living centers. We actually do smell training. So we test their smell, test their memory, because smell and memory are connected. And everybody in the class individually has different results, but overall, their smell goes up and their memory goes up. We had one person double their smell and their memory in 1 month in the last class. Phenomenal. This is what it looks like when you're comparing your score, because the first score is a baseline, and we're all unique. Some of us are born deaf, so you need to do a first test when you're younger and healthy, and then you can compare it as you age. So dementia doesn't have to be a surprise. This is how you get that prevention window, because you can rehabilitate the senses and see the changes coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So wait, we'll pick up. Wow, this is amazing. So I know a lot of us are going to be having some nervousness before bed tonight after those revealing tests that you offered us. But these are like simple things that we can do at home to improve. Well, what's like your favorite example of something we can do to improve one of the senses?
Yeah, so the goal is to empower the individual, not necessarily rush them off to the doctor. But a lot of people do go renew their prescription glasses, get hearing aids. My favorite two are smell retraining, because it's so simple. For $30, we don't sell these, but we point you to it if you need it. For 2 minutes a day and $35, you can potentially double or triple your memory. And there's a lot of products that are starting to come to the market that claim to help in some form with your smell and memory. But another favorite is bone conductive headphones and hearing aids. They're like sunglasses that don't go in your ear and shoot frequencies in and actually create a bigger problem in some cases. They go around some of the issues so you can actually hear better. And with these bone conductive headphones, they just shake your bone. So you're not exposing yourself to more frequencies, and they look way cooler.
Okay, I'll take
There's
that.
a lot of cool stuff
I
out there.
could use a lot of help with that. So, questions for Datar. Everybody's so scared. Okay, there's one. Yes, Deanie. Where can we get one of your kits? Great question.
You can go see well, actually, you can just go to our website. It's just supersenses.com. But we're also we're closing we are a startup, so it's very early. We've spent 3 years in research and development. We sell about 1,000 kits, $1,000 worth of kits a month, just people coming to our website. Most of the time, it's just a smell kit or a taste kit. Sometimes they upgrade to the full kit, especially people who understand the connection. And then we're also selling to functional neurologists and functional wellness clinics, as well as senior living communities.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. This is amazing, and I hope that you'll come back and give us an update, maybe after you've raised your funds and we see where you get. And I think you're going to have a few new customers tonight. Actually, that's my sense of it. Thank
We're
you.
actually not raising funds. We're going to do this with operating cash flow and maybe
Okay.
some debt financing, because it's just a treadmill. And if you're
Yeah,
starting
no,
your own
I hear
business, I'd
that.
recommend you do the same.
Yeah, I hear that. That's great advice. Okay, thanks, Datar. You're the best.